Let us start by talking about some factors that are exclusive to the beautiful planet that we live in. The Earth is the only planet in the solar system that is capable of and known to support the large diversity of living creatures. The factors that make Earth so livable and conducive for life are water, light and oxygen. 70% of water that is found on Earth is in the oceans, and the rest are in polar ice caps and rivers. We all know that the Sun, a star situated thousands of kilometers from Earth, is the single largest source of energy, both heat and light. How can we forget that oxygen, the single gas that life forms inhale to stay alive, is produced by green plants, both in the oceans and on land? The single most important life process that made possible life on Earth is photosynthesis. As the name itself implies, the driving force behind this is light. Photo is light. And in this case, the light is absorbed from the sun's rays that fall on Earth in a diurnal cycle. Now the question is, where does this process take place? Just shift your glance out of the window and you will see green everywhere. The various shades of green of the living plants that surround you. The vital process of photosynthesis, that is the single largest source of energy, takes place in the green leaves. Now we can seek the answer for the question, why in the green leaves and why not somewhere else? This is because green leaves contain the pigment called chlorophyll that not only gives it the green color but also has the capability to absorb the light energy of the sun to drive this process forward. The structure, shape, arrangement and size of the leaves, together called leaf and plant architecture, play a very significant role in making photosynthesis an efficient process. The shape, size and arrangement of leaves on the branches along with the shape of the canopy determine the amount and absorption of light on the plant which triggers the process. As you would have noticed, the upper side of leaves on which sunlight falls most is greener than the lower side. This is because each millimeter of leaf surface on upper side contains an average of 5 lakh chloroplast cells. The arrangement of chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, carotene and xanthophyll are blessed with many colors that have the ability to absorb light. The blue-green color of chlorophyll A, the yellowish-green color of chlorophyll B, the yellowish-orange color of carotene, and the yellow of xanthophylls are known to be good absorbers of light energy. But it is only chlorophyll A that enhances and catalyzes the process of photosynthesis within the chloroplast. The other pigments, called the accessory pigments, support the light-absorbing nature of chloroplast. It is also interesting to know about the scientists who unraveled the mystery of photosynthesis. Joseph Priestley discovered that oxygen is produced through the process of photosynthesis. He is also credited with the discovery of soda water and several other gases. C.B. Van Niel showed that the source of oxygen that is produced is water. Melvin Calvin explained the various stages through which glucose is generated during photosynthesis. In short, the most important process that supports life on Earth combines light, heat, water, and carbon dioxide to make carbohydrates and oxygen in the leaves of green plants. Now, it is also significant that we understand the chemistry and equations that take place in chloroplast to release the energy as food for the plants. There are two stages in the process. One that requires light that takes place in the grana of chloroplast, and the other that does not need light, that is within the stroma of chloroplast. In the light reaction stage, the grana accumulates and converts the light energy of the sun to chemical energy. This is stored in the energy coins of the cell called adenosine triphosphate, or ATP. The water molecules in the leaves are also split into oxygen and hydrogen here. This oxygen becomes available for other life forms, whereas hydrogen is used to make the carbohydrate molecule. During the dark reaction phase, inside the stroma, the energy stored in the ATP is used to join hydrogen with carbon dioxide to make the carbohydrate. Since it was the scientist Melvin Calvin who discovered the dark reaction phase, this part of the cycle is called Calvin cycle. The discovery of photosynthesis helped in understanding the most important role that plants play in maintaining life on Earth. The role of plants is especially more relevant in these changing times of climate change and temperature rise that is creating grave ecological imbalances all over the world. Here, it would be worthwhile to understand what climate change is.
What is climate change? When we use a car, the engine makes a gas called CO2. The CO2 comes out of the exhaust pipe and floats up into the air. Because lots of people use cars, lots of CO2 is going up into the air. When we leave the TV or the lights on, that uses electricity. Electricity comes from a power station, and that makes lots of CO2. Aeroplanes make even more CO2 than cars. There is so much CO2 in the air that it's covering us like a big blanket.
This blanket of CO2 can make the air too hot.
This is called climate change. Sometimes the heat causes drought when there's not enough rain and all the plants die. Sometimes the hot air makes great big storms called cyclones. Storms make big waves that smash up coral reefs.
The heat can warm up the sea, causing the corals to lose their colour and die, and the fish to go away.
How can we protect animals, plants, and beautiful places like the Great Barrier Reef? Let's go back to the start. There are lots of things we can do to make less CO2. We can cycle or walk to places instead of going in the car. We can make sure we switch off the TV and lights when we're not in the room. We can travel by bus instead of flying. If we make less CO2, we can help make the Great Barrier Reef a safe and happy home for all the animals and plants.
The most vital function of absorbing carbon dioxide, one of the most important greenhouse gases, can be done only by plants. This explains the thought behind the simple slogan, "Climate change, trees are the answer." Please reconsider the next time your hand goes to pluck a green leaf. Remember the important function you will be destroying forever. Green plants, from microscopic algae to huge trees, are the building blocks of all ecosystems that make up the biosphere we call Earth. The most important function of production of food along with release of life-giving oxygen is what makes the plants so vital. The best ecosystem role that plants play is the absorption of toxic carbon dioxide during photosynthesis. Though it is commonly thought that plants that grow on land, that is, terrestrial plants, produce the chunk of oxygen needed by living beings, it is to be understood that the oceans that make up 70% of the Earth's surface produce 70 to 80% of atmospheric oxygen. It would be interesting to investigate how the ocean, where one does not see any green plants growing, can do this task. It would surprise you to know that 50 to 80% of atmospheric oxygen is generated by small organisms called phytoplankton, found in the surface waters of the ocean. They are capable of producing oxygen through photosynthesis as they float in waters where sunlight falls. So isn't it amazing that the air we breathe in as we watch this scene could be from these tiny invisible plants? The more visible producers of oxygen in the sea are the algae. It is estimated that the green algae that abound in the oceans, especially in tropical areas, are the best ones as sunlight is superabundant there. Some estimates show that marine algae produce 330 billion tons of oxygen in a year. Seaweeds that are abundantly found in the oceans also belong to algae family. The Sargasso Sea, where huge clusters of Sargassum weed grow, create a no-ship track in the North Atlantic Ocean. It is an invaluable habitat for diverse marine animals. The immense amount of oxygen and productivity that the ocean can boast about also makes it one of the best supporters of life forms. From microscopic zooplankton to huge whales, the ocean is the most diverse ecosystem known on Earth. The food web that the ocean creates, where the life-supporting energy flows, is worth understanding to know the impact of human activities. A simple ocean food chain is composed of 4 levels: phytoautotrophs, herbivores, carnivores, and top predators. At each level, one can see various organisms that the oceans support. The ocean is known to be home to 300,000 species, about 15% of what science has identified so far. Hence, it is no surprise that it can support so many life forms at each level of food chain. It is also obvious that the intricate bonds between organisms through the process of energy and food exchange makes the ocean food web one of the most complex ones. Thus, the next time you are on the seashore watching waves, dip your hand in the water and scoop up. Say thanks to the tiny microplants that make it possible for all of us to stay alive on this fascinating water planet called Earth. The next time your eyes fall on a green plant, just wonder when the first one would have appeared on Earth and compare it to when we humans came. It is estimated that the first land plants evolved about 700 million years ago. The first traces of oxygen that appeared by a process called the Great Oxygenation event happened 2.3 billion years ago in the oceans by the activity of some bacteria. The evolution of atmospheric oxygen in the form that we know today is supposed to have taken place 3,500 million years ago. All these estimates are just to show you how young we humans are as a species, and how ancient all the life support systems that we disregard so easily are. There are 3,90,800 species of plants on Earth, with over 3,52,000 ones being flowering plants, and the rest are mosses, ferns, and conifers. The plant diversity is enclosed in specific habitats which combine to form the ecosystems that hold the biodiversity on Earth. Of this, the tropical region with abundant rain and sunlight harbors the most diverse of ecosystems like the rainforest. We are lucky to be in a region that is an abode of such biodiversity-rich forests. As one understands the vital role that ecosystems play in maintaining the balance of life on Earth, one is also likely to chance upon data that each species or groups of species play. The most crucial and vital roles that organisms play to make life conducive on Earth is called their ecosystem services. As you know, the single most important service rendered by green plants is the production of oxygen. This is why areas where plants grow together are known as green lungs. The forests are the Earth's best green lungs. Since plants also have an amazing capacity to absorb carbon dioxide, their role is made more significant. This is because carbon dioxide, one of the worst greenhouse gases, increases the Earth's temperature. No wonder the shade a tree gives is very cooling. It would be interesting to look at the trees around you and think about how much carbon dioxide they could be absorbing and how much oxygen they could be releasing. An average estimate shows that when a plant absorbs 1 ton of carbon dioxide, it will be releasing 118 kilograms of oxygen. It is even more interesting to know that there is difference in amount of carbon dioxide absorbed between trees. For example, a huge rain tree will take 20,000 kilograms of carbon dioxide. A common tree like tamarind will take in 50,000 kilograms of the gas during its lifetime. Based on this, one can decide which species to plant that will make the Earth a better and cooler place to live in. As urban spaces grow with huge accumulation of glass, steel, concrete and tar, the heat also increases. The increase in heat and lowering of oxygen levels will increase unhealthy conditions for human life. This is called urban heat island effect that will create small islands of heat and ill health. The only way to solve this crisis is to grow trees and plants. Forests and wild wooded places should be maintained to ensure a healthy life. For a country to be healthy and sustainable, 30% of the land area should be covered with undisturbed forests. In Kerala, considered one of the greenest states in the country, 27% of the total land area is covered by forests. It would be at most importance that we ensure protection to wild places for future generations to see and experience its ecological value. Forests tell us many stories of delicate balance, interdependence, and symbiotic give and take that are so essential for happy and healthy human existence. Next time you stand under a tree, make a conscious attempt to absorb the coolness and spare a moment to think about the free and selfless services it is doing, the giving tree and the mother forest.